Hello everyone, Desert Gardener here, and today we're talking seed starting mistakes. So this is part 3 of my year-long series of growing tomatoes and peppers in the desert. And specifically today we're going to be talking about seed starting indoors and some very common mistakes people make. So if you're doing this for the first time, you're going to need some grow lights. Now if you go online and search for grow lights, you're going to come up with a lot of really expensive options. They talk about the red lights and the blue lights and the warm lights and the cool lights and things like that. And those things are really only necessary if you're growing plants to maturity indoors. If you're just starting seeds indoors and planning on planting them outdoors in spring, you don't need any of that. Just a simple basic fluorescent light is all you need, which is why I really like this jump start system. You can get any system you like. There's a few knockoffs that are kind of like it, but I like it because it comes with this mounting or this stand, so you don't have to mount it. It comes with the light, and it comes with a way to easily raise and lower the lights, and you don't have to drill any holes in your ceiling, and it's pretty affordable. So I definitely like a system like this one. Now the next thing you're going to need is a seed starting tray. Now I recently bought a couple of new ones since my old ones were starting to fall apart a little bit. Now these are what's called a 72 cell tray, and it comes with the bottom tray, it comes with the 72 cells, and it comes with a lid, which we'll talk about later. Now in an older video I talked about starting seeds in larger containers like this. Now, the way that works is you fill it about 3/4 of the way up with just regular potting soil, and then the last little bit you fill it with seed starting mix. Then you plant your seeds in there, put it under the grow light, and that way your seeds have that nice fluffy seed starting mix to sprout from. And then when the roots start going down, it starts hitting the regular potting soil, and it starts getting nutrients right away. And the upside to doing this is you don't have to up pot. You just simply take it from here and put it straight into the garden. Now when you start with a 72 cell tray like this one here, you have to up pot it into something like this and then pot it into the garden. And that causes extra stress on the plant, and it takes extra time. So it is better to do it this way. However, it does take up way more space, and you're going to need triple the number of grow lights. So if you don't have that amount of space and the money to buy that many more grow lights, then the 72 cell tray is the way to go. And it's what I use, and it's really not a big deal. You just have to do that extra up potting, so it's not a big deal. So the next thing we need to know is about the seed starting mix. Now you don't want to use garden soil because that can introduce pathogens and stuff like that. And you don't want to use regular potting mix either because it's too chunky. It's a lot of wood products and stuff like that. You want the nice fluffy stuff to give your seeds the best chance to sprout and germinate. Now there are a lot of YouTubers that will recommend that you make it yourself. I think the recipe is equal parts of perlite, vermiculite, and peat moss. Now, I really don't recommend doing that for a few reasons. First off, the bags never seem to be the same size, so you always end up with a little leftover of one or the other. Usually it's perlite because it comes in a larger container usually. So it's a little like when you buy hot dogs in a package of 10, and then the buns come in a package of 8. So then you got 2 extra you have to store. So it's sort of the same way. You end up with perlite you have to store, then you have to buy more of the other stuff, and it never seems to even out. And it just doesn't seem to be worth it, especially once you start adding up the cost per ounce. It's really about the same as if you just bought it pre-mixed, which is why I like the Jiffy Natural and Organic Seed Starting Mix. It has all of those 3 ingredients in it, but it's pre-mixed and it's very inexpensive. That bag was, I think, like $6 or something like that. And it's just so much easier. So save yourself the trouble and just get it pre-mixed. So the next thing is I like to make myself a list. So you'll see there's 12 rows in this tray. So I make a list of the 12 different plants that I'm going to be growing. That way I can keep track of them and I know what they are later. So make yourself a little guide or list or something. The next thing is you're going to be purchasing some seeds. Now you can purchase them pretty much anywhere. However, there are a lot of people that will recommend organic and GMO-free seeds. Now, when it comes to growing plants, especially outdoors in the garden, I absolutely recommend growing things in an organic way. But buying organic seeds makes no difference whatsoever. It's complete marketing hype. The same for non-GMO seeds. In fact, there's no such thing as a commercially available, or should I say a customer type available GMO seed, like something you buy in a home store. They simply don't exist. To get a GMO seed, you'd have to be a farmer, you have to sign contracts, non-disclosure agreements, get them directly from the manufacturer. GMO seeds simply do not come in small little packages to be purchased by a consumer. They don't exist. It's simply marketing hype. So just buy any seed that you like. Don't worry about whether they're organic or GMO. It makes no difference at all. So I usually get mine on eBay. You can go wherever you like, but I get a good variety on eBay. Some people might say, well, what if they send you the wrong types of seeds? Well, that's a risk you're going to take anywhere, because even the big seed companies make mistakes like that. In fact, back in 2022, there was a big thing where a lot of the really big seed companies were sending out seed packages that had the wrong seeds in them, especially with tomato seeds. People were buying them, planting them, and they would grow, and they were getting completely different tomato plants than that they had purchased. So it happens, but I've never had it happen with buying stuff on eBay. So give it a try. I think it's worth it. So the next one is pre-soaking. Now, if you don't know what pre-soaking your pepper seeds are, what that is you take your seeds and you soak them either for 10 minutes in hydrogen peroxide or 12 to 24 hours in a diluted chamomile tea solution. Now, what this does is it scores the seed coat, makes it softer, and makes it more likely that it's going to crack open and germinate and sprout. So it is very helpful. But I found that it doesn't seem to be worth the effort, because there's a simple workaround. For example, most seed companies recommend that you put 2 seeds in each cell. That way, if one doesn't sprout, hopefully the other one will. But if you soak your seeds, you're probably going to get a 50% higher germination rate. Or you could just put 4 seeds in the cell instead of 2. You're getting the exact same results. More likely that you're going to get a healthy plant come up in that cell, and you save all the time and trouble and effort that it would take to pre-soak your seeds. So just put a few extra in there, and they're inexpensive, so it's not going to be worth the time and trouble to do it. If you like doing it, go ahead. If you have seeds that are rare and expensive, then I definitely recommend pre-soaking. But if you're just planting a bell pepper or a jalapeno or something, don't bother. Just put a few extra in there. It's not necessary. So the next one is planting. So why don't I go ahead and do that now? I'm going to do that off camera, because it's kind of boring. I'm going to put 4 seeds in each cell. Then I'm going to take my seed starting mix and I'm going to fill that last little bit of the cell and spread it all out so it's nice and even. And I'm going to do that outdoors so it doesn't make a mess. And I'll be right back. Hello again. I'm back. So I've put seeds in the tray and I covered them over with seed starting mix. Now I forgot to mention before I did that, when I very first filled this tray with seed starting mix, I lifted it off the ground about 3 to 4 inches and then just let it drop. And this compacts the soil just a little bit and creates just a tiny little space. This is the space that you're going to use to put the seeds in. With pepper seeds, well actually with all seeds, you want to bury them about 2 to 3 times the width of the seed. So with pepper plants, that's usually perfect if we bring it up about 2 to 3 inches, let it drop probably twice. But with tomato seeds, because they're much smaller, I'll only drop it once, and it compacts it down just a tiny little bit, creating just a little bit of space in there. Then I put the seeds in, and then I put more seed starting mix on top and clean it all off. And I find that works very nicely. Now there are lots of people that are going to recommend that you pre-moisten your seed starting mix. I really don't like doing that at all for a couple of reasons. For one, it's a mess. It creates a big mess working with it when it's all wet. You got to wear gloves. If you get it on your clothes, it's going to stain. And of course, it just creates a mess. And it's really not necessary. Plus, anything that you don't use, if you moisten too much, you can't store that because it'll get moldy. And if you moisten too little, then you got to do more, and you end up with a half a tray or 3/4 of a tray or whatever. I find just using it dry is so much easier to work with. And then when you're all done, you're simply just going to lift this up, and you're going to fill that bottom tray with warm water, and it will soak up through the bottom. Now it'll take a couple of hours to soak completely up, but that's fine. It makes no difference whether it's dry at the beginning or whether you pre-moisten. It really doesn't matter, so I don't do it. I've never done it. It's just too much of a mess. So, like I said, you're going to fill it with warm water, and you're going to put a heat mat underneath it. Then you're going to put your tray on top, or your lid on top. And the next thing you're going to want to do is cover it with a towel. Now, most seeds don't need light to germinate. So having them in complete darkness in a warm environment is going to help them germinate faster. But you need to keep peeking under that towel. As soon as you see those seeds start to break the surface of the soil, you're going to take that towel off, leave the cover on, and then you're going to turn your grow light on, and you're going to set the timer to be on for 12 hours and off for 12 hours. And then once the seedlings start to hit the bottom of this cover, then you're going to take the cover off, and then you're going to start checking the water level. Because when the cover is on, you're not going to need to water at all. But once you get that cover off, check daily. You're going to make sure that there is water in this bottom tray at all times. It doesn't have to be a lot, just don't let it run dry, because the seeds need to stay warm and moist, or they simply won't germinate very well. That's it. Now the next thing we're going to be talking about is hardening them off and planting them in the garden. So that's going to be the subject of the next video. So if you learned anything today, all I ask is you hit the like button. And if you want to be part of the series and see the upcoming videos, hit the subscribe button. And if you missed the first couple, there'll be a link to the playlist at the end. So I'll see you in the next one.